Hello, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Nigeria Governors Live. I am Georgina Ndukwezaika, and my colleague is here as well.
Good evening, Georgina. Good evening to you.
Yeah. All right. Many Nigerians have blamed the country's economic and security woes on the fact that down the years, especially since 1999, we have not had good leaders. But is this true? Are citizens being fair to the many political leaders that have passed through the political spectrum down these years? What about the citizens themselves? Are leaders to be blamed for the impunity that pervades the society that has eroded basic norms of decency and honesty? I mean, Aunduna, we've had so many leaders all these years, the likes of our founding fathers. How would we now say that Nigeria has never had good leaders?
Well, it's one thing that beats the imagination of a lot of Nigerians. And for me particularly, I usually don't like going far back into 1960s and all of that, or post or pre-colonial era. I always want to stay with 1999, our return to democracy, where Nigerians had a lot of hope. But when you look at the level of development from that point up until now, and then you look at the development of institutions, particularly from that point up until now, it gives you a sense that we perhaps have not really had a full grasp of what leadership is. Yes, we have a lot of leaders. We've gone through the polls, to the polls to vote and all of that stuff. But it appears that it's still the same old cycle. Even as we talk about 2023 right now,
same set of persons coming up.
Same set of persons might likely emerge. I mean, that's what it seems like, except something drastic happens and all of that. So that's the situation we're in at the moment.
Well, our topic today on the show is governors and the challenge of sustaining democratic leadership models in the states. And our guest is well known in this area. He is Dr. Linus Okorie. He's a public affairs analyst, and of course, he heads one of the biggest leadership centers in Nigeria, located here in Abuja. We'll take the news bits, and when we come back, we'll go straight into the conversation. It's Nigeria Governors Live.
The governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, has said land will be given to Fulani herdsmen who want to engage in ranching in the state. He said this in Abuja at the 72nd birthday of a former Nigerian ambassador to Mexico, Yorese Haiga. Ortom, who was represented at the event by the State Commissioner for Education, Dennis Itawa, used the opportunity to state that Benue people are not against the Fulani tribe. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has disclosed that the Edo Modular Refinery being developed by the Edo Refinery and Petrochemical Company Limited is ready to commence operation. Obaseki disclosed this at the weekend after he was conducted round the facilities by the managing director in charge of the company, Mr. Tim Tian. He said what is left of the project is to finalize the crude oil sale contract, adding that before the end of August, people should start lifting products from the facility. Responding, the managing director, Edo Modular Refinery, commended the governor for his contribution to the actualization of the project. While assuring that the refinery is ready, he attributed the delay in the project to the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. And finally, Kano State Government has approved 130 million naira for the payment of the National Examination Council NECO examinations for more than 10,000 indigent students in the state who failed the recent qualifying examination. State Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Murtala Sule Garu, announced this shortly after a meeting with the governor, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. Murtala Garu said the governor had directed that 200 indigent students should be selected from the 36 rural local governments each and 400 from the 8 metropolitan local government each. The commissioner added that the chairmen of the local government areas are expected to constitute a committee to ensure that only indigent students are selected to benefit from the gesture. And that's all on News Bits on Nigeria Governors Live.
Welcome back, and thank you for sticking around. Today, we're going to be looking at a very, very pertinent topic as far as leadership is concerned in Nigeria. And once again, our guest on the program is Dr. Linus Okorie. He is a leadership consultant, an African leading leadership coach, and the CEO, Gotney Leadership, a most comprehensive leadership center in Nigeria. Now, without further ado, we'll go straight to our conversation. I was particularly very excited when this topic came up because when you look at the activities around our political space over the past number of years, sometimes it strikes one as though Nigerians are gullible, you know, because at the end of the day, you have a situation where politicians come to promise you roads, good roads. I promise you all of that. The next moment, we still hear the same complaints every now and then. So does this problem actually lie with the people, or is it a situation where, or are we more sophisticated than this? I want to start from the people first before we even look at the crop of leaders we have, political leaders we have.
Nations of the world that have made great progress, there have been nations that have invested hugely in the leadership capital of their own people over time, because you can't give what you don't have. Over time, based on the way the political class, they've played politics in this country, it's been, a lot of it has been that of deprivation, lack of, people have gone through so much of difficulties. People have, you know, there's been a lot of failed promises. So most of the time, the people, they have lost their self-confidence over time. And so a lot of people believe that the only way that they can survive, even at a very low level, is they wait for 4 years, you know, at the pre-election stage. Mm-hmm. Once the election process has been announced, there are a lot of people who are excited because to them, they believe that it is the time when they will get their own small piece, even if it's 1,000 naira over time. But if you look at the whole of that going on, you can see that it's a question of the quality of the mindset of the people. That hasn't done anybody any good. That hasn't done the people of Nigeria any good, because of the fact that even the people who know, the people who should have been the middlemen, who would pass on the right information, will not do so, also because of the fact that they too lack, you know, most of them lack leadership capital in that sense. So if you ask me, that deficit of leadership values spread across this country has caused this country great pain. So in 2019 election, I tried to be governor of my state because I felt, oh my God, with all the leadership models that I've built over time, with the vision that I could sell to the people and make a big difference, you know. But with so much work I did just at the polling booths, specifically, you know, right in front of me, I saw people buying votes and exchanging money, and I called, you know, I kept my own policemen and SSS in the house based on my leadership values as an individual. But my opponents didn't do this. They didn't do exactly. They came with their own people. And then I saw a policeman standing. I said, "Sir, look at that man. He's buying votes. He's selling votes." The policeman looked at him. He said, "Oga, I can't see anybody. Oga, I can't see." And I was so shocked.
Sorry, it's quite hilarious.
You understand what I'm saying?
You're saying something
Quite
on
hilarious, yeah.
So the reality is that the excuse so far that has been given over time is that it's stomach infrastructure, that we're hungry, therefore. But if the people, if this changes and the people in this country, people who have resources, people who understand quality leadership capital, people who know this, that the country can transform if they get the people sensitized properly and educate them properly, they can start a whole grassroots mobilization that is geared towards mindset transformation and teaching the people the implication, the connection between, you know, proper leadership, right leadership models and development and growth. How throwing up quality people with sound leadership values, politicians with selfless attitude and leadership capital, how it can bring about transformation in their lives. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Painting a picture how people have stolen from them and destroyed them. If that can be an exercise in every part of the community in this country.
It's interesting you said stolen
Yes.
from them, Arid. Using that phrase, I recall it was in the same country. We've had, in fact, we've had cases where people vehemently come out with all sense of vigor to defend persons in court who maybe have alleged to have stolen money. In fact, in one state in Nigeria here, we saw a situation where the drums was rolled out for a former state governor who returned back to the country after serving a jail term in a foreign country. So when you see things like that, what level of hope do we even have to start with?
Let me tell you something. A lot of the good men who are good, right? A lot of the industrialists, people who have money, who run businesses, people who are, you know, most of them, the best they could do is to complain about the state of the country. And almost everyone is in the complaint game, you know, everywhere. Now, but imagine if people rise to say, you know what, my responsibility in my own community, I want to invest a mentorship system, a leadership development system, where every young person in the village will sit down and learn leadership skills as regard how it concerns them. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know, a deliberate mindset transformation program that would lead a critical mass of Nigerians to think that each person is a leader first. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Where I am a leader, even if I'm a bricklayer, I am a leader and I can influence my environment positively. They need the information. They need it as you can ever imagine. Because it is that self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-discovery, right? That personal development space that helps the young person to discover himself. I have worked with young people for many years. I have seen young people who, when they discover who they are, I mean, during the election, I worked with a lot of young people. I was only 19 years old when I started working with young people over time, grooming them, and I've seen young people transform. There was a young person who never believed in this country, never believed in anything called, he just hated the system because of the faith promises, and he went through a leadership course. And guess what? This young man was so transformed that he said, in this country, I would develop my own idea and I would have a place. Imagine if there's an investment of resources by private citizens. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Private citizens who say, in my community, if you have 3-4 people in each community, say, our job this year is to, you know, upgrade the quality of the knowledge of the people who are within those communities and everything. Do you know? I'm not talking about empowerment. You know, when you talk about empowerment,
yeah.
you know, people are thinking about, give them gifts or charity. You know, if you want to rise to power in Nigeria, the fastest way is to start doing charity work in the communities. And after a while, the people will think, oh my God, when it's time for election, they will vote people who are doing charity. Charity is not equal to leadership. You understand what I'm talking about? So people must understand who is a leader.
All right, so like my colleague said, do we still have hope?
Of
Do we
course.
still have Nigerians who have reached a point where they can actually select a leader, choose a leader devoid of ethnic, tribal, or sectional sentiments?
The truth of the matter is that if we are ready today to sensitize the people, right? We don't wait until election. Between the period when there's a fresh 4-year emerging, what do? The business leaders in their communities, what do? Most of them are complaining about their businesses not working. What do? What time do they have to actually find, if they can't do it themselves, they find leadership development institutions that will engage on that project. Every community that is well sensitized can transform. This country can decide to throw out men and women without honor who have recycled themselves over time. It is the deliberate vision that is pursued with their energy. Let there be knowledge across this country and teach people how do you identify a leader when you see one. What are the qualities of a leader? And by the time, what is the role of quality leadership in turning around their fortunes, whether it's at the local government level, whether it's at the the constituency level or senatorial level. The point I'm making is that there must be a leadership education that must have a grassroots tone, whether it is in the language that they understand. Do you get what I'm talking about? It has to be so real. It has to be, there must be resources, budget around it, deliberate, until we build a new sense of leadership capital that drive progress. Nothing will change. Trust me. Every day, the elections will come and it will be the same thing. Okay. Because now, one of the things that can happen is that when that movement begins to happen, people begin to know their rights, then people will say, please give us electoral reform. And ensure that, because for me, the president of the country, the greatest gift he can give Nigeria at this point in time, the biggest gift, what I'm talking about, is an electoral reform that is a free and fair election. So and then the people can build from there.
Compare the economic situation in the country right now. You talked about stomach infrastructure.
Yes.
People understand that they are hungry and they need to eat.
Yes.
So how would you present a project like a leadership development, identifying leaders, when there's somebody that is offering them money, offering them food, come and eat, come and do this, and vote for me? There is always the tendency for them to go to the person, to gravitate towards the money and all that. So
okay, when you sell a cause to people, people's eyes are open and they know that, look, this thing is a matter of surviving or recreating ourselves. So you can survive now. You understand what I'm saying? You ask them questions. All the years that they have taken 1,000, what has it added to them? Nothing. But when people get the message, people believe that there's a system emerging. There's hope for them. That's what we call leaders are dealers in hope. You need leaders that can inspire hope. Some of the movement that have emerged in this country, you understand what I'm saying? You've seen poor people, even from their little resources, supporting political leaders. I've seen young people who, people in this country who supported political leaders they believed in, even though some of them disappointed them later. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So it's about understanding what is at stake. So most of the time, such messaging is not intense in the grassroots.
I just want to plug into the question my colleague just asked you a short while ago. You have had a first-hand experience.
Yes.
And with my experience as a journalist on the field,
yes,
you hardly see a politician who goes out without his army of thugs.
Yes.
Without... the other time, we recall a governor had an issue, a former sitting governor had an issue with his vehicle that went up in flames in Lagos, and they were packing out wads of money in bags just to prevent it from burning. These are the kind of things you have to contend with, So from your experience, what is the message right now, where we have all of these factors on ground? Now, for persons who perhaps have a mindset that, look, it has to be leadership, it has to be purposeful leadership, how would you break through, how practically would you break through all of this sort of system?
Okay, so sir, one of the things that is going on currently is the fact that, so if people are saying they want opportunities, right? So private people in this country who have resources, in every community, God has blessed every community with at least some people with capacities. You know what I'm saying? Every local government has quality people who has got resources. What would they do? Do you know that it's possible that every local government you can have technical education 8-star? Technical. Where, at the artisan level, at artisanship level, you want to grow, those people to become experts in the different value chain. Let's say construction support services, painters, what do you call them? Tilers, all of those set of group of people. Do you know that you can massively create 8-star infrastructure and invest in those people such that those people can be empowered? You know what I'm saying? If the government system are failing to do that, imagine if private citizens come together and create those type of institutions, which is possible. I'm already creating one, in my own system. What that means is that you are not just giving them moral lessons or asking them to be leaders. You're also providing opportunity for them to be able to develop certain type of skills that will enable them earn living wages in that sense. So you're connecting economy, do you get what I mean, plus political or leadership capital mobilization. You need both of them to be able to work. But what I'm saying to you is that long term, if the people can sacrifice and say in the next 1 week I won't eat, you know what I mean, whatever it is we can eat, but for the first time, let's get what is right. If people are mobilized and they understand the message, it requires leadership to do that.
You know, not to present a gloomy picture, but you see, even at state, I like the fact that you've mentioned local governments consistently, but we know we have a problem on the ground right now where local governments are not autonomous.
Yes.
And they are not even crying for it, funny enough, you know. And you have a situation where even when private citizens endeavor or try to do certain things such as you have explained, at the end of the day, a state governor still finds a way to infiltrate with some sort of politicking. These things happen. So how do we actually isolate the motives of private citizens in developing people away from the politicking that happens at state levels?
You know, one of the things that, I mean, there's so much, there's a lot of pessimism that is, you know, taking all over this country. It's taking over this country as a result of exactly what has been wrong with the country over time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. People have lost hope over time. And how do you take that anger, convert that anger of deprivation, the anger of, you know, I mean, things are not working the way it should work. How do you convert that, you know, to causing real change through the ballot box? That's the challenge we're talking about here right now. That's what we're talking about. How do you do that? If people are not angry enough, do you get what I mean, to convert their anger into votes, yeah, to say for the first time, right, we will find the right people and support them. You know, I mean, you remember those days, our forefathers, some of our forefathers who didn't have money, but they still had their honor. Do you understand what I'm talking about? They still had their honors. People will come and present, you know, stuff to them, and they say, this person is not a good man, so I can't collect this. Do you understand what I'm talking about? You know, people refuse to give their daughters out to be married by thieves. You understand what I'm talking about? Because they say, where's his background? Where's he coming from? Do you understand what I'm saying? People have those values. I am saying that, you know, people must be taught that even if you don't have money, do you understand what I'm talking about? Because the problem of this country is not about poverty. It's not just poverty. Is the fact, haven't you seen people with so much money in this country who are rich people, who at the same time, they are the ones who go to collect money from governors running for elections, you know what I mean? And then at the end of the day, they give peanuts to those, you know, grassroots members and put it in their pockets. Greed is the issue.
All right, so
it's not just about poverty.
Okay, so let's begin to round up now. At this point, I want you to briefly tell us, tell Nigerians right now how they can hold their leaders accountable. We are you know, awaiting the 2023 elections, and we also have a current administration that has spent 8 years now, or close to 8 years now. How can we start holding our leaders accountable? How can we distinguish between people who are selfless and those that are selfish, so that we can build a better Nigeria? Okay,
so what I can quickly say is that at the state level, right, I would want, you know, the governors to take the issue about thinking entrepreneurial leadership. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Thinking beyond the money they receive from Abuja. And the motive should be, what can we do, right, to create the necessary investment and infrastructure that can create job opportunities for the young people. Do you get what I'm talking about? And then the people of the state themselves should be able to generally stop this psychophancy drive and begin to speak truth to power. When you learn how to speak truth to power, is to begin to engage them. Where they are not working hard, let them know they are not working hard. And guess what? At the central level, everybody in this country should, you know, begin to compel the system to say, give us a free and fair election where every vote will count. If there's no other achievement, if that's the only achievement in this country, a free and fair election, where people can rightly go to the polling booth, right, without intimidation. Our institutions of INEC is working, police is working in terms of, ensure that they protect, the citizens and the environment, and ensure that, people come in and cast their vote. And when they cast their vote, the vote that they have casted will be the vote that will be declared. If that is a single thing that is done in this country, I want to let you know, it will encourage quality men and women across board, people who have been trained, groomed to lead, and they will be able to go out and make a difference. See what happened in Anambra, in PDP, for instance, people didn't give Val a chance.
All right.
And now Val has emerged, the candidate from outside. And the political, yes.
We will have to round up at this point. Really appreciate you coming on the program. Really enjoy your submissions at this point, and we hope that going forward, Nigerians will learn that, look, you need to hold on to your leaders and ensure that they do the right thing. Anduna?
Yes, it's been exciting having this conversation with Dr. Linus Okorie. He is an African leadership coach and the CEO, Godney Leadership, most comprehensive leadership institute or center here in Abuja, Nigeria.
All right, so next week will be another edition of the program Nigeria Governors Live. 6:30 p.m. will be another edition, and every Monday, of course, 6:30 p.m. And join us on Friday as well on Radio Rhythm for the radio edition of Nigeria Governors Live. I am Georgina Ndukwe Zainka, and my colleague
I am Anduna Ingia. Good evening.
Have a very good evening.